Now we're going to take a look at the Marimekko chart at SharePoint-dashboards.com. This is an interesting chart. It combines some concepts together, and you should know also this is referred to as a Mekko chart. It's the same thing, it's just another name. This should remind you very much of a stacked bar chart. If you look at the example I have, you'll notice that you have different shaded values. So this is an accumulation of values across particular categories. In the example that you see, this is demonstrating sales over a period of time. In this case, it's months, but your series could be anything. It could be categories or different types of things, however you want. So you could think of this as a percentage within a percentage. In a Marimekko chart, the bars always fill the entire space vertically. And what you have is the accumulation of that from 0 to 100%. So that's going to happen automatically. Even if I change the height of the canvas, you'll see that it just stretches out. Horizontally, you have percentages. So what this is indicating is this total of values in the first column for January, for example, that is 14% in this case of the entire series. I have a series between January and October. And you can see, for example, in the last column for October, there are small values. The total values for October are only 4.2% of this whole series. And what happens is the width of that column is adjusted proportionally. So it's demonstrating a couple of concepts at once. If you want to see more examples of Marimekko charts and how you might use them, I'd recommend that you check the link in the notes area down at the bottom of the page for more of an explanation about that. Of course, the first thing you should do is set up your data. This chart has some unique requirements. First of all, of course, you need to have your columns for the different things you're tracking. In my example, I'm tracking sales, and I have my sales field set up here, and my columns are sales, sales 2, sales 3, and sales 4. And then I've set up a couple of other columns which I need in order for this chart to work. So sales total is just the total value across those different things I'm tracking. And then there's a couple of other key columns. In order to know this percentage horizontally going across the chart, I need to know the overall series total. So this series total I've entered here, 11,270, that is the total across all of the records. Now you can fill that in yourself manually. A more elegant solution, you would need to use some workflow, which is relatively easy to set up. I won't be covering that in this video, but you can easily create a Power Automate workflow which, when any record is updated in this list, it will total up the value across all the records and then set this series total field for each of those records. Once you have that, what you can do is a comparison between that record and the series total. And then you can create a calculated field to get you the percent value. You do have to have a percent value field in order for this chart to work. The percent value is simply the sales total, in this case, divided by the series total, and that's how we come up with the 9.8%. So getting your data set up correctly is a key aspect of using this particular type of a chart. Okay, and then also we've got the title field, which is going to be used for the labels. As with all the other templates, you can check out some different looks and see if there's anything in particular that catches your eye. We're just going to use the first theme, and then what I'm going to do is go down. You can adjust things such as the height of the canvas and then the overall width of the columns according to however you want. In fact, I'll go ahead and make the canvas height a little bit higher because I think that looks nicer. And then I need to enter my field names. So I have a title field, and then I have my columns that I'm using that hold the values. So that's sales, sales 2, sales 3, sales 4. And then if you're not using any of those, you should just delete the text in there. The 7th field is required. That is the percent field. So you do need to set up your list so that it has the correct percent value for that record. I just called my field percent. And again, I did a calculated field to get me that value. And then the other thing, I'm doing money, so I'm going to put a dollar prefix. So in the preview screen, I can see what this is going to look like, and of course I can change colors and things like that. So once I'm ready to go, I can go ahead and copy my template, follow the directions, and then come over here, go to the view header, format the current view, go to advanced mode, and paste in your code. And there is the visual representation of my data. So once again, just to explain the concept, the percentages when going horizontally from left to right, it's showing for that particular record what percentage that was of the overall series. And you can see that by just checking the values. So in the last column here, you can see that the ice cream project has bigger numbers. We've got 2,000 at the bottom, 200, 150, 100, and you can tell those values are much larger than this other column, for example, where it says grapes project. Those are much smaller values. And that is the reason why in this chart, those columns have different widths. The percentage value you see on the label at the bottom, that is proportionally the width of this column. So it's demonstrating a couple of concepts. And then within the column itself, you're seeing the proportion of that set, those individual values. So these are just called sales, sales 2, sales 3, etc. These could be anything you want to do. So once you understand the concept of a Marimekko chart and you get your data set up correctly, you can implement that in SharePoint Online using this dashboard template tool. And of course, there are many other charting options to choose from. So that's an interesting concept and something a little bit different and advanced you can do with charting in SharePoint. Good luck.